What is up, Janksters? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet, and today we have a special deck for you. This is Jund Reanimator. Now, Jund is a very common archetype across a number of different formats, and our current standard is no exception. There are a lot of Jund decks running around right now that are all about getting that mid-range value and grinding the opponent out of the game. There are a lot of ways to do that. I decided to lean more into the reanimation aspect that the color combination is capable of, and that's what we have in this deck today. Before we break down the card by card analysis, though, I do want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you so much to Angry Jellyfish, Else89, and Silent Labber. Thank you for all that you do to help support the channel. It helps tremendously. And you, dear viewer, can also join the Patreon as well. There's a link in the description. If you want to support the stream, it would mean a lot. Thank you so much, and let's get into the deck. As far as the individual cards are concerned, we are reanimating. And any good reanimation deck needs three things. We need big threats that are worth reanimating, for starters, because if you're jumping through a bunch of hoops to get something on the battlefield, it better be pretty darn good. We also need a way to put those things into our graveyard, and then, of course, we need a way to pull them out of the graveyard, which we can do in a lot of different ways in this deck. Now, let's get into the threats first. What are we looking at there? Well, we have Titan of Industry. I feel like this is pretty standard, pretty obvious. This card is amazing. If you can stick it on the battlefield, if you can, recur it, if you can get additional copies with Fable, the Mirror Breaker, that kind of thing, this thing's a house. It's absolutely fantastic. Possibly the best reanimation target in Standard right now. Put it in the deck, use it, you'll love to see it. We also have Toxrill the Corrosive. This is a phenomenal reanimation target against go-wide strategies. It is kind of like Meat Hook Massacre on a body, except when your opponent's things die, you get slugs, which you can then, potentially sacrifice to draw cards, although to be honest, that is a very low priority for this deck. And as such, we have a couple of cards that can generate treasure tokens, which we can use to generate that blue mana that we need for that ability. However, we don't have any blue in the mana base because that is just a very low priority, and we don't want to dilute our mana base and lose the opportunity of hitting our spells on time just to potentially take advantage of that ability later. So that's the idea there. But at the end, Toxrill is great at removing your opponent's armies, especially if they're comprised of low toughness creatures. So Toxrill's great. I'm a big fan. But we have two of those in the main. We also have one in the sideboard. Now, I will be doing best of one for the purposes of this video, just for time's sake, but I did actually build out a full sideboard. I don't always do that with my builds, but I did for this one. And we do have a third Toxrill in the sideboard. If you're going up against aggro decks, that's where this belongs. Then slot that in. So you have three in the deck at that point. We also have a cheeky one of Ziatora the Incinerator. This card is capable of just closing out the game. If we have a Titan or a Toxrill online, this can just deal 7 damage directly to our opponent's face. And the floor on this card is a 6/6 flyer for 6. That's in our colors. So it's not bad. Ziatora is rock solid as a kind of an edge case. That said, if you're in best of 3, don't be afraid to sideboard out Ziatora. But for that first game, you never know. It might come in handy. Yeah, it can be pretty good. The other thing that I do with Ziatora, we have a couple of small creatures that we can generate in this deck. Being able to sacrifice those to pick off your opponent's pesky permanence is actually surprisingly valuable as well. So not bad, not bad. And then, okay, so those are the threats that we're putting into the graveyard. Those are the threats we're trying to pull out of our graveyard. Let's see how we can pull them out. We do have a Diregraf Rebirth in here. We have 2 of those, actually. They are rock solid, specifically because they have flashback. So if we do end up discarding them or milling them, then we can take advantage of them out of the graveyard later, which is really cool. Additionally, they cost 1 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. That's not super relevant in this deck, but every now and then it comes into play. So be aware of that. You can find some cool creative things to do with it. But then, the big one that is a 4 of in this is the Cruelty of Gix. This is a saga from Dominaria that is just so good. The floor on this, now this is a card that has read ahead. And it's read ahead, you can skip up to chapter 3, which is just reanimate a thing. 5 mana, reanimate a thing in mono black. That's exactly what we want. It's straight what we, that's what we're doing. Perfect. Chapter 1 is a pilfer style effect where you look at your opponent's hand and then you can remove, you can have them discard a creature or planeswalker card from it. So that gives you an opportunity to monkey with their hand a little bit. Now, you are limited to just creatures and planeswalkers, which is a little bit of a bummer. When you look at your opponent's hand and it's all land and kill spells, it's like, well, all right, that's going to be something to deal with. But even in that situation or situations like it, you do have perfect information. on what your opponent's hand is. So that's valuable. Don't underestimate that. Or we can skip that entirely, go to chapter 2, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle, you lose 3 life. This is Grim Tutor. Being able to fetch up, one of the things that makes this card so good in a Reanimator deck specifically is, one, chapter 3 is your reanimate spell. But if you also have a way to discard stuff, but you don't have one of your big threats, or you have one of your big threats, but you have no way to discard it, or you already have stuff in your graveyard, chapter 2 can go fetch you up whatever piece of the puzzle you need. One thing that I've done, actually, is use Cruelty of Gix to go fetch another Cruelty of Gix, and then the following turn, chapter 3 triggers, you grab something out of your graveyard, and then you can cast the other Cruelty of Gix, read ahead all the way to chapter 3, and just grab another thing out of your yard. That could be a devastating turn if your opponent's not ready for it. So plays like that, be ready for them. Also, be aware there is a main deck of Tutor in this deck. So that one thing you can do, especially when sideboarding, don't be afraid to put like one of key removal spells into the deck. Like we have 3 Meat Hook Massacre in the side. Putting one of those in the deck in like a mid-range matchup where you may not need it, but maybe it's exactly what you're going to need in certain situations. Having one in there so you can tutor it up off Cruelty is not a bad idea. So keep that in mind. You have some flexibility there, which is neat. Great card. Phenomenal card, actually. It gives you a ton of options, and all of them do things you want at one point in the game or another. So good stuff. All right, we also have Big Score. To be honest, I end up sideboarding this out a lot in games 2 and 3. It is fine, and I think it's much better in controlling matchups where you're going to want to find ways to spend your mana at the end of your turn. So being able to dump creatures into your graveyard and then create treasure tokens can be very valuable. Also, the treasure tokens are nice because you can ramp into your reanimation threats. In this deck, you don't even need to be reanimating them necessarily. All of them are castable, and it's not like their mana value is like 16 or something. We're looking at 7 drops primarily. So being able to ramp into them with Big Score actually is pretty darn nice. If you hit Big Score on 4, hit your land drop on 5, boom, you have a 7 drop coming right out of your hand. So not bad. Like, it's a little slow. That's not necessarily where you want to be every game, but it's a line that you can take advantage of. So not bad. Then we also have Soul of Windgrace. This card is a freaking house. I would highly, highly, highly recommend you take a look at this if you are in Jund. If you enjoy Jund whatsoever, get your hands on a couple copies of this. This particular deck runs 3 of, and I think that's the sweet spot because we definitely want to hit 1. And from there, you can do all kinds of stuff. Now, there are these 3 activated abilities on it, all of which give you some value by paying some mana and discarding a land. So that gives you some benefit if you draw lands late in the game. Worst case scenario, you pay 2, one of which is red, and you cycle it effectively. So you can just dump that land, draw it in some more action, hopefully. If you get some more land, you can just do it again, etc. And if you have a land in your hand, you can pay 3, one of which is black, and protect Soul of Windgrace by giving it indestructible temporarily. So that's pretty nice. Great card. But the part that really makes this card sing, the thing that really is the point and purpose of this deck, is that ETB trigger. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may put a land card from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control. And there is one piece of our mana base that I want to call out specifically because it combos with this perfectly, and that is Riveteer's Overlook. Riveteer's Overlook is one of the quasi-fetch lands from Streets of New Capenna. It's specifically the Jund one, so we give access to all 3 of our basics. And what you do is you sacrifice it, or it sacrifices itself when it enters the battlefield, and then you go fetch a basic and put it down, and you gain a life for good measure. So as long as one of your first 3 land drops is Riveteer's Overlook, Windgrace hits, boom, you already have a land out of the graveyard, onto the battlefield, you're ramping yourself, and then the following turn, because Riveteer's Overlook put itself back into your graveyard, if you attack with Soul of Windgrace, boom, you get to do it again. So there's always a card in the graveyard that Windgrace can pull up and give you value. Very good stuff. Killer combo. Don't sleep on that one. It's pretty darn good. We also have Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This is another awesome way to fill our graveyard. Chapter 2 allows us to discard up to 2 cards, draw that many cards. Awesome. Chapter 1 also creates that little Goblin Shaman. Now, this does a ton of great stuff for us. And Reflection, the Fable of the Mirror Breaker makes a turn 4 Titan of Industry or Toxrill possible in this deck. Here's the line. You throw this down on Chapter 3. You create your little Goblin Shaman. Groovy. Turn 4 hits, you discard your threat. You then draw, and presumably another card, possibly. You draw another card. So if you hit your land drop, you can attack with the Goblin Shaman. That gives you, we have 4 lands on the battlefield, plus a treasure token. Goblin Shaman probably dies, but that's okay. You then have 5 mana available, which is enough to cast your Diregraf Rebirth or the Cruelty of Gix. And you can read ahead, boom, you pull the threat out of the yard, you have a turn 4 Titan of Industry, and your opponent probably scoops if they don't have an answer immediately. So that's pretty sweet. So yeah, Fable of Industry, Fable of the Mirrorbreaker rather, is pretty great. Actually, Fable of Industry might be a good name for the deck. In any event, this card's great. And then on top of that, once the Reflection of Kiki Jiki is online, you can then make copies of your Titan to get those ETB triggers all over again. Fantastic stuff. We also have Liliana the Veil. This is a discard outlet that also destroys our opponent's creatures. She's amazing. Period. She's absolutely phenomenal. She's a 4-of in this deck, and I didn't think twice. Just get her in there. Yeah, Lily is great. She's absolutely fantastic. In the attrition type mid-range, you know, black dominated meta that we have going on right now in standard, she lines up perfectly against what you're going up against, and she does what this deck wants to do with that +1. And if you're living the dream and you actually manage to alter, you're probably going to win that game. So she's pretty great. Cathartic Pyre and Infernal Grasp are both great removal spells that you can hit as early as turn 2. So these are key pieces in the deck. Cathartic Pyre is the removal du jour in this deck specifically because it's an alternate way that we can get our threats into our graveyard and make sure we hit all airdrops on time by using that second mode, being able to discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. So not bad. Not bad. So yeah, other than that, as far as the mana base is concerned, we've got the Triome, we've got some slow lands, we got the pain lands, the Sulphurous Spring, and then we have to make sure we do have 8 basics in this, because we're running the Ravager's Overlook Windgrace combo. We need to make sure we have enough basics to go fetch up, and I make sure to grab 2 in each color. That way, no matter what we have in our hand, we can grab the basics that we need to be able to cast them on time. So yeah, pretty good stuff. I gotta say, I am amazed at how well this deck is performing, and I actually did go on a bit of a tear with it, and it has gotten me to Mythic, and I believe it can do so for you too, if you're familiar. You know, if you get good with it. This one's real. A lot of the decks that I build here, I think of as janky brews. That's not the case here. This Jund is real. This is real Reanimator Jund. This is legit. You can work with this. I gotta be honest, if I were to sign up for a standard tournament tomorrow, this is the deck I would bring. So take that for what it's worth. I'm not saying I'm not a pro player. I'm not, you know, I don't compete in that many tournaments. I'm usually commentating them, but all the same, I think this is legit. I think you can go places with it. Maybe a couple of tune-ups could be available as the meta shifts, but for right now, I think this thing is positioned really, really well. So I've been yammering about this for a while because I just cannot stop gushing about this deck. I love it. When Reanimator is viable in standard, I am very happy, and we have that right now. Special thanks to Cruelty of Gix. I think this is the MVP of the deck, and I'm looking forward to showing it off. So we're gonna jump onto the ladder, play a couple best of 1 games. If you enjoy this, please hit that subscribe button, and yeah, thank you for checking out the video. I appreciate it very, very much. Let's get into it. All right, this hand actually is looking pretty solid. The Fable can get us a long way, and Infernal Grasp, we're probably gonna have targets for that. Plus, with the Proving Grounds on 1 into Sulphur Springs on 2, we can hit the Infernal Grasp on time without even losing life for it, which is nice. Evolved Sleeper, we're probably gonna want to ice that. And we got the Ravager's Overlook too. All right, all right. I think I want to let our opponent here dump some more mana into that Evolved Sleeper before we blast it. Come on in. Welcome to my face. No blocks. You gonna pump it? Gonna pump it there, home slice? No. Okay. They're probably gonna play a Tenacious Underdog here. No, Bank Buster. Okay. I think we hold the Infernal Grasp. The Sleeper might be an issue. But that's an issue I'm gonna worry about later. All right, we're gonna hit the Fable. Let's go. Trespasser. That is blastable right there. That's very blastable. But now they don't have any attacks. I mean, they can, well, they can crew the Bankbuster, I suppose. Yeah, okay. That's yeah, that's fine. They're attacking with the Evolved Sleeper, though. Did they mean to do that? Or was that a misclick on the attack all? Might have been a misclick on the attack all, but I gotta be honest, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go ahead and dump 2 lands here. We're gonna draw another land and a Toxrill. Let's go. All right, cool. So we can take advantage of the ward here, actually. I'm gonna go ahead and crash in here. Doink. Then I'm actually going to hit Cruelty of Gix on 1. Let's take a look at that hand. What you got? Pfft. Bunch of lands and an Invoke Despair. That Invoke Despair is going to suck, but we'll be okay. We'll be okay. All right. Oh, thank you. All right. So as I record this video, a raspberry delivery just came by. So thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. I'm a very lucky guy, if I may say. Anyway, all right. So we're attacking with the Graveyard Trespasser. Sounds good. At a minute where it was like, wait, who's knocking on my door? What's going on? It's like, it's my mom with strawberries. Let's go. I'm gonna grab the Titan here. I want to get a Titan in the mix because Titans are awesome. All right, we're gonna go ahead and hit that land. Now, what we can do, we can use Infernal Grasp on the Graveyard Glutton as a way to force the Titan of Industry into our graveyard, which I gotta be honest, I'm kind of intrigued by. The other option is to throw Liliana down and just force him to sack the Glutton, which is fine. Like, yeah, let's do that. I feel like that's probably the correct move.
When I win, you're telling me what you need.
All right.
Sacrifices must be made.
And worst case scenario, we use the Cruelty of Gix to pull their Graveyard Trespasser, which to be honest is not a bad hit. Yeah, we didn't time that as well as I had hoped. Invoke, sure. All right, I'm gonna sacrifice this creature. That way we can sacrifice the Reflection to Kiki-Jiki as the enchantment, and then we lose Liliana. So they actually didn't get that much value out of that at all, which is pretty cool by me. We can grab the Evolved Sleeper and start buffing it up. That's kind of fun, but I think I'm gonna grab the Graveyard Trespasser, especially because it's nighttime, so let's go. Nom nom nom. All right. Eat that yard. I love eating yards. It's my favorite. Wait, what? All right, here comes Soul of Windgrace. Coming on down, grabbing up that Sulfur Springs. And next turn, we have the mana for Titan of Industry. Let's go. Yeah, so next turn we can just hardcast Titan. It looks like our opponent is mana flooding a little bit, which, I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't generally like to win that way, but at the same time, I'm gonna take what I can get. All right, here we go. Graveyards are all empty. I'm not gonna chew up my graveyard with Glutton. All right. So the fact that Graveyard Glutton lets you leverage your opponent's graveyard is pretty savage, if I may say. Big fan. Big ol' fan. That's one of the other things that makes it so good, because you're reanimating a threat, but it's not just any threat. You're reanimating a threat out of it's not just your graveyard. It's all the graveyards. Yeah, fantastic. Titan, I'm gonna go ahead and gain life, and we're gonna put a shield counter on the Titan. That way, if they have any point and click removal, it survives. We could have also blown up the Bank Buster. That would have been fine. But at this point, we have 3 must-answer threats chilling on the board. And our opponent doesn't have an answer for him. So, I'm telling you, this deck's the real deal. So let's see if we can do that again. All right. Now, the Pyre can get the Titan in the graveyard. We have Infernal Grasp. And we have the mana to actually throw out the Proving Grounds on 1, have Infernal Grasp up, or Cathartic Pyre up on 2. With Cruelty in hand, let's go. And Liliana for good measure. Ooh, we got a 2-drop and we got a killer 3-drop. Oh, feels good. Feels so good. Let's go. Opponent's looking at her Triome. All right. Thalia. That actually messes me up really badly. I don't. Do not approve. Do not want. Adeline, no. This is not okay. Get this crap out of here. What are you doing? Appa, what you doing? You're killing me, Smalls. All right. We can grasp Adeline, but I think we just have to. We don't really have a choice. I mean, we need to get Thalia off the board too, but Cathartic Pyre can deal with Thalia. Whereas Adeline is going to keep popping out little critters, which is going to make Liliana more difficult to take advantage of. Oh, this is bad. All right, well, if this was a get best of 3 situation, Toxrill and Meathook Massacre would be coming in from the side in a big way. I'm gonna throw Lil here, and we are not gonna downtick. We're gonna uptick straight away, get a Titan in the yard. So they have the advantage on board right now. They only have 3 cards in hand. I want to stress that. All right, they're gonna lose the Wanderer. All right. That, and if they divert resources to take out Liliana, that's damage that's not going to my face, which is good. I'll take that. And I mean, there's actually a good likelihood that they will here. Yeah, that's 4 damage that we're not losing to life total. So prevent 4 damage, force them to get rid of a Wandering Emperor. That's not generally how you want to see Liliana go, but did the job. I'm tempted to dump Toxrill here. They have 6, 7, 8, 9 damage coming back. If we draw into 2 lands, we could potentially... So here's my thought. If we dump Toxrill right now, because we have a Titan in the bin. If we dump Toxrill, we're going to draw 2 cards. We might be able to get... Because we need Toxrill on the field. We need Toxrill on the field. No question, do not pass go, do not collect $200. We just need to get Toxie on the field. But I suppose I can also do all this at instant speed, so I'll continue debating next turn. Let's see what they come down with. 6, 7, 8, 9. You know what? I think getting rid of the damage and the tax is meaningful. If they play Thalia post combat, I'm gonna be so sad. There will be no words to describe my sheer sadness. Other than, I'd be very sad. So I have found with this deck the mono white matchup and cruelty and no mana to cast it. We're dead. The mono white matchup and the mono red matchup are far and away the most difficult matchups for this deck. So our opponent here is clearly metagaming a little bit by rocking the mono white. Here, I'm just gonna kill that for good measure, and then pass and we lose. So our opponent is, metagaming a little bit with the mono white, and good for them, because this is doing some good stuff. Lawfear, well done. Yeah, so matched up nicely against us. It's all good. Let's move on to the next, see if we can get this thing to pop. Okay, this hand looks great. We got Proving Grounds on 1. We can Sulphurous Springs on 2. And our opponent's on Dimir. I'm probably going to throw the Overlook on 2. That way we don't have Infernal Grasp on time. We don't have Infernal Grasp on time, but we are going to have Liliana on time. So. That'll be worth it, methinks. Announcement, sure. Not a bad draw. We do need those lands after all. All right, here comes Lil. We're going to go ahead and do the uptick action. Let's hate on that hand a wee bit. And I want to tighten in my graveyard anyway, so... That's without question. Get that sucker in there. Now, here's a situation where I'd love to see Toxrill soon. Toxrill answers Wedding Announcement really well. So that would be ideal. Probably not going to happen, but we can dream, right? Yeah, going after Lily. Sure. Got to down trigger when you can. Cannot let that all go off. I get it. All right. Soul of Windgrace is a killer draw for us here. Boom, baby. Because that gets us the Overlook back. Telling you, Overlook Windgrace. It's a beautiful thing. Well, I mean, don't overlook Windgrace. The card's great. All right. Now, we can uptick to discard. We can also downtick. So here's the thing. Upticking right now gets a card out of their hand, which is nice. However, downticking here gets rid of one of their creatures, and they won't be able to draw a card next turn by attacking with 2 creatures. So to be honest, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to force them to sacrifice one of these tokens. Drop the tap one. That is correct. Emp comes out. Okay, and they can poop out a Samurai token and then get the card draw. Plus, they're going to be able to kill Liliana here. Got another one. We're good, but still. That said, if they go all out on Liliana, Soul of Windgrace has a clean shot on Wandering Emperor. No, just kidding. Not anymore. I mean, we have this too, but still. Wow. Destroy Evil. The name on that card. It's just so generic. Like, destroy evil. Like, really? That's all we're doing? We're just destroying evil? Okay. Sure, I guess. Another Overlook. That doesn't really do anything for us. Halfway tempted to dump it to big score, actually. You know what? I think that's actually what I'm going to do. We're going to dump River Tears Overlook. We're going to create 2 treasure tokens. We could stick Lily here, and we should get another Overlook. All right, this one will play out. And then I think Fable's where we want to be. All right, so we've got a Titan in the yard, as well as a Soul of Windgrace. So a Reanimator spell of any kind here would be pretty sick. Ziatora also with the Fable of the Mirror Breaker online is going to give us an opportunity to start doing like ping damage effectively, because these are little 2/2 bodies that we can throw at stuff, which is nice. I like throwing bodies at stuff. It sounded weird, but I stand by it. All right. Get on the Proving Grounds. I'm actually gonna dump. Do I dump Lily here? No, I'm gonna dump the Grasp. All right. Our opponent has a bunch of mana up, including blue. That gives me pause. So as a result, I'm gonna play conservatively here. I'm trying to stick Lil. She resolves. There was a slight hesitation, ever so slight. We're gonna knock out one of those 3/3s. Okay.
Off you go.
I was gonna pick off Wanderer here. All right. Comes a Deluge. Digging for a counterspell. They didn't hit it. Feeling good. All right. Gonna cut down my Shemansky. All right. Wish I had swung, but alas. Can't win them all. All right. Lil soaking up some more damage. Yeah, the other one might as well attack face. He's got Vigilance after all. All right, our opponent's got 3 cards in hand. I don't love that. I way don't love that. We need to get our Titans online. We definitely need to get our Titans online. Ooh, they're going full face. Puts on a 2-turn clock. Good work, Oppo. Good work. All right.
Don't overthink things.
We dump the Titan. They're going to jump Shijeki. Try to cast out Ziatora here. If they have the counter spell, we're just going to eat it. And if they have a kill spell, we're just going to eat it. They could have a cut down for the Reflection. Or an Infernal Grasp for Ziatora. Or another Destroy Evil. Suck! Alright, we have a problem. If they draw into a kill spell for the Reflection of Kiki Jiki, we're just dead. If they don't, we got a shot. Gotta block one, don't have a choice. Not good.
This was boring.
Need to get rid of that.
One of your friends has to leave.
Try to stick the Fable. Got another blocker. We are hanging on for dear life. That is the name of the game right now. And I'm holding the land because if we draw into a Windgrace, we can gain life off it. If we don't, we can dump it to the Fable and keep digging. Next turn is the thought. Because at this point, a reanimation spell would be really handy. Yeah, they're keeping the pressure on, sure. Well, these are 2 cards I can gladly throw. Diregraf Rebirth, there it is. If they have the counterspell, they have the counterspell. If they don't... Dang it! Ah! So close. We had to dig like a mother to find that Reanimator spell, though, which was a bit unfortunate, but at the end of the day, they got there. It's all good. Let's move on to the next, see if we can keep this going. Good. That was a good game, though. For the record, that was a great game. Even though we didn't win, a lot of back and forth. Good stuff. I like it. This is pretty solid. Actually, this hand, if our opponent does not monkey with it, which, I mean, let's be honest, they probably will. But if our opponent doesn't monkey with it, this could be the ideal scenario. This might just be the nuts. We have 3 lands to work with, one of which is the Overlook, which is nice. We can Fable on 3, into a Cruelty of Gix on 4, potentially. Now, okay, our opponent's on the mono red. This is a bad matchup for us. This is, admittedly, a really bad matchup for us, actually, if I'm honest. But we got a shot. We got a chance. Let's... I don't know. Do they have a Bloodthirsty Adversary? No, they have Rada's Firebrand, which fortunately for us does not have haste. That is very nice. All right. Just hold my breath here. Etchings of Kumano exiling everything is annoying. I'm not gonna lie. There's the Bloodthirsty Adversary. Okay. Can't block? Sure, I wasn't going to anyway. Rock on. Another Cruelty. I'm not mad at that. Dump, dump. Ching, ching, ching. Go. Land 4. Shermansky swinging. Boom. Rebirth Titan. Let's go. All right, and we are going to create the Rhino and gain 5 life. Boom. Back in this thing, baby. Opponent's not quitting yet. Good for them. I respect it. I respect it. Trying to play it out. Red has a tough time. Once the Titan hits, Red has a tough time because you gain the 5 life and then it's 7 toughness you got to overcome. Now, they could attack in, but to be honest, well, etching is a bit of a problem. Okay. Is Rada's Firebrand gonna hit the little guy? Sure. Block here. If they have a way to deal 5 damage to the Titan, they got it. Lightning Strike, okay. 2 Lightning Strikes. Okay. They got rid of the Titan, which does suck, but that was a solid 3 for 1, which is exactly where we want to be. All right. We don't have anything in our yard anymore. Special thanks to freaking Kumano exiling, but that's okay. We can Cruelty of Gix. You know what? Actually, that's exactly what I want to do. I'm going to Cruelty, and I'm not even going to read ahead. We're starting at chapter 1. Give me that. Show me that hand. What you got? All right, we ate a Bloodthirsty Adversary. Perfect. Now, they can Lightning Strike the Reflection and then attack in. It's probably what they want to do. Because if they attack, I will block. I will block this all day, every day. No question. Yeah, it's just what we gotta do. And Red has a tough time dealing with enchantments, so I think that Cruelty of Gix is a go. Squee! Alright, very nice. I'll have me a good squee. Doink. Worthy trade, in my opinion. Alright, we search our library for a card. We have a Titan in hand already. How greedy do we want to be? I want to be maximum greed. All right. Actually, the right thing there was probably grab like a Cathartic Pyre, but whatever. Crash in. Play out another Fable. More little bodies. Let's go. All right. Now, had we grabbed a Cathartic Pyre there instead of the Toxrill, what we would have been able to do is, ooh, Stormtaker. Okay, all right. Our chumps are going to have to get some work done here. That's okay. They're doing their job. Now we need to make sure we stack our triggers correct. And then, of course, we just draw a Toxrill. Okay, so we set it so that the Fable... trigger. Oh no, but we have to target a card with Cruelty anyway. Dang it, we messed. I messed that up. Well, give me your squee, I guess. Boom. Okay, now we just so happen to have another Cruelty of Gix, so it's all good. This one we will just read ahead, and this time we are grabbing up Toxrill. T-Nasty. Let's go. Going wide, crashing in. Give me that slug. Feeling pretty good about our situation here. So, like I mentioned, red does have a bad matchup against us, but we got very lucky with a couple of those draws. And yeah, the value is here, everybody. So anyway, thank you so much for checking out the video. I appreciate it very, very much. I gotta say, I love this deck. Jund is in a great spot right now. There are a lot of ways you can build it, and all-in Reanimator is one of them. It does great work. I'd love to hear from you actually in the comments below if you have any feedback on the deck, any questions. I'd love to hear your experiences trying to play with it as well, because you can do great things with it. You can do that. Like this deck straight up got me all the way through Diamond. Like I didn't like grind mono red aggro or the mono black aggro list to get to Mythic. This is the list that got me there. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you on the next one.